Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Bullseye. On this Tuesday evening here, live from Tampa, Florida. And boy, do we have an incredible show for you tonight. We do want to let you all know, for all of those who are watching the show tonight, that tonight's program is brought to you by Apex Gift Card. That's right. If you're looking for any type of gift card during the holiday, whether it's to thank someone or to get them even a Christmas gift, you have to go to apexgiftcard.com. They have unbelievable deals, unbelievable discounts from movie theaters to restaurants to department stores. Every single need you have, you need to go to apexgiftcard.com. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep you updated on the men's score in a moment. Excuse me 1 second while I get situated here. We're about to bring in my partner, Bradley Lewis Walker. I know with about 1 minute left in the game, the men's team is down by 6 to Wichita State. So not looking very good there. But boy, do we have a full show for you. Let's go ahead and bring in first Bradley Lewis Walker with that smile that he always brings to us. There it is. Bradley Lewis Walker. Bradley, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, Larry. How are you?
You know, I'd be doing a little bit better if our men's basketball team would be prevailing. Here's a game where they were actually led at the end of the first half by 7 points, and with about a minute left to go, looks like it's going to take a miracle here at the Yingling Center to overcome this deficit in this game. But better news was the women's basketball team. As you know, who defeated Cincinnati today, 73-61. The girls now move to 2-0 in conference play, 5-1 on the season, while Cincy moves to 0-2 in the conference, 1-5 on the season. So nice win for the ladies there.
Yeah, Larry. I mean, again, now they're 2-0 in conference play. I think we talked about that last week. It would have been nice to see both the teams start off 1-0 in conference play, and that's exactly what they did. Both the men's and women's team both won their first conference games.
Yeah, and if you look at this women's game today, Bradley, they were up 33-29 at the half, so not a commanding lead, up by 4 points. They actually was up 26-13 in the first quarter. And they led by as many as 16 points in this game. Then came the second quarter. Then came the third quarter, where Cincy outscored them 16-7 in quarter two when they went on a 14-2 run to open up the second quarter. And then they ended up outscoring the Bulls 19-17 in the third before USF just took over in the fourth quarter. Either way, high hopes for the ladies this year. A lot is expected of them, and so far they prevailed, and they haven't disappointed the USF fan base.
No, Larry, and I mean, think about this. They only lost by what? Single-digit points to Mississippi State. They'd be undefeated right now. I mean, that's how good this team has been. I'm sorry, that they beat Mississippi State.
I know what you meant.
Yeah. So, I mean, think about that, guys. Right now, they would be undefeated right now had they not lost that game. That's how good Coach Fernandez has this team playing. That's great for the women's basketball team.
And you want to talk about going up against somebody that is incredible. Incredible. I'm sorry, as I'm reading here, I just got a message from Coach Fernandez wishing me happy holidays.
That's
so
cool.
It was kind of ironic. He waits for the show to come on. Hopefully he's watching the show. Congratulations to Coach Fernandez. But the one thing they had to face, this young lady, and I never can pronounce her first name, was Hammer. I believe it's pronounced Yamaro Thomas. I know her last name, obviously, that's easy enough. But unbelievable for Cincinnati again. Another over 30-point game play. She had 32 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 steals. And when you talk about all-around player, this young lady really gave the Bulls a hard time. But when it all came to an end and, adversity was settled, the adjustments that I thought Coach Fernandez made to, I say keep in check at 32 points, but it was enough for them to prevail. And, let's give credit where credit is due. Seems like, you have different people stepping up game after game so far for the Lady Bulls. Today it was Sydney Harvey, 21 points. I know she had at least hit 5 threes that I can think of. Then, of course, what can I say about Bethy Manunga, the double-double lady? I call her Miss Double-Double. 13 points again, 14 rebounds, and 2 assists. And then Christina Brackencover had 10 points. And, you look at Elisa Pinzon and Maria Alvarez, although the points weren't necessarily there. I think Maria had 8 points. But you look at Elisa, and you can see the way she switched her game up. They went with the hot hand in this game, which was Sydney Harvey, and she adjusted just like a true winner, getting 11 assists in this game. So, I love to see this team every single game. Somebody else seems to be leading the troops, and today it was, Sydney Harvey in points. Of course, Bethy Manunga, the one who I would say is probably the most consistent. And then, of course, again, Elisa Pinzon always shows up somewhere in the box score, whether it's getting 11 rebounds a game, whether it's getting 15 points a game, or today 11 assists, always finds a way to help the team out.
Well, I mean, that's a good problem, Larry, to have. Coach Fernandez has is that he can go to any of these ladies to lead them. That's a very, very good problem to have when you have a lot of leaders. And, if you get some of your guns that don't score, if they can get assists to help everybody else score, it's a team thing. And obviously that showed today, in the 12-point win over the Bearcats.
And, they hit from the field, they were good, Bradley. They shot 46.9% to Cincy's 45.3%. I believe it was 8 of 21 from three-pointers. Not unbelievable, but not terrible, about 38%.
Correct.
Where Cincy only shot 1 of 9 from three-pointer. Again, our nemesis, when we go to the foul line 31 times, obviously your percentage is going to bring your total down as far as number of shots made. They made 19 of 31, 61%. It's definitely an area that I would like to see, and I'm sure Coach Fernandez will tell you the same thing. There's only so much. You can have these guys and ladies, because you'll find out the guys had the same issue in the men's game with free throws. I'm not sure if it's a, Floridian thing or not, but, what happens is, you can only tell them to concentrate so much. You can only have them shoot so many free throws in practice before it becomes a mental thing. And for them to miss, thank goodness they won today, but, they did miss 12 foul shots today, which is a huge number. They did out-rebound Cincy 40-23. The other thing besides free throws that I would say, and I'm sure Coach Fernandez, if we listen to him after the game, would say the same thing, is they turned over the ball way too many times in that game. They turned the ball over 16 times. I think Cincy stole the ball 10 times on our Lady Bulls today, which is really a high amount for our Lady Bulls. We usually control the ball much better than that. So, when you take a look at this game, they got to win, not shooting free throws well and turning the ball over a lot. I would say, to go on the road, win away, which makes them 2-0 on the road. I'd have a smile on my face if I was Coach Fernandez.
Well, yeah, Larry. Even in a win, we all know that there are things that can be improved upon. Obviously, we were talking free throws are obviously one thing, and like you said, only after a while it becomes a mental thing. And again, turnovers, it's just like in football, turning the ball over, penalties. Those are what kills you. So turnovers and missed free throws will kill you. Now, today that didn't happen to occur, but if this continues to be an issue, it's going to be a problem for them. But I think Coach Fernandez would be happy with the win today. As we all are, we're happy with the win. So again, that's something that they'll have to improve on moving forward.
And there's about 3 seconds left in the men's game. The men's are down by 2. They will get the ball back. So it looks like Wichita State went to the free throw line. Unless there's a timeout in that game, because I don't have the game in front of me because I'm doing the show. It just went
final. They lost by 2. 70-68 was the final.
Oh, yep, it just ended. So the men's, and let's talk about the men's a little bit. We'll switch gears in about 15 minutes. We're going to have Sam Barrington, former linebacker of the USF Bulls. I believe he played from like 2009 to 2012. We're also going to have he's also former linebacker of the Green Bay Packers as well. So we have a great, great show in store for you. I'm trying to pull something up here. There we go. All right. There's that. And I thought I had a little guy here from let's see if I can find him. I don't know where he went. There he is. He's hiding on us. He was so excited they won that he left us there for a minute. But, we talk about the men's game, and I'm going to pull up some statistics for you as well, Bradley. But here's a game they were up by 7 points. 7 points at the half. They were up 29-22. They were outscored 48-39. Now, you lose a 2-point game, okay? And I know you know where I'm going with this. But you lose a tough game. You lose by 2, even though they scored 3 of those points just near the end there. But it doesn't help when you shoot 65% from the free throw line and you miss 12 free throws in a 2-point game. Guess where you lost the game? You and I have talked about it week after week after week. Coach Gregory's team their nemesis is free throw shooting. And one of these games is going to come down to they're losing because of the free throw line. Well, here's not the entire reason, but when you miss 12 free throws, that means I was okay with you missing 9, but you missed 12 and you lost the game by 2 points. Where would you say this game was lost?
At the free throw line. Either that, Larry, or you can look and say they were 8 for 24 from the 3-point line. So
yeah,
again, one more 3-pointer. There you go.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Because, the thing that happens is if you're not shooting the ball well and you're not shooting free throws well, that means you're not shooting anything well. And this is a game where they shot 36.5% from the field, 33% from three-pointer, like you said, 8 of 24, and then you mix in the free throws, only shooting 64%. I'm sorry, that is not a formula to win. And then if you go down there, and you look, Bradley, listen to this. They out-rebounded Wichita State 55-35, 24-14 on the offensive boards. So when it came to the team that was most dominating off the boards, it was USF. The problem was they didn't do much better, Wichita State, shooting the ball. but at the end, of scored more points than USF, and that's why they won by 2.
Yeah. I mean, that's right, Larry. I mean, you can look too. We were just talking about the women's team with the turnovers. They had to turn the ball over 14 times and have the ball stolen 5 times. So think about that. That's 19 times the ball was going the other direction. See, these are the little things that you can nitpick when you lose by 2 points or you lose by a point. That you can go back, and Coach Gregory, I'm sure, will go back and talk with them after the game about this. They have to be better at the free throw line. They got to be better shooting threes, and they got to stay away from turning the ball over. I mean, even think back. I was watching the Cincinnati game. There towards the end, they had some free throws that they missed, and you're like, they could have made those. It would have been the ice. They would have iced the game, and they missed them, and that's what happens. But yeah, you can nitpick at this. That's why they lost this game by 2 points.
And the big men, Yetna and Durr, they both did have combined. They had 24 rebounds, 12 each. Durr with 7 points, Yetna with 11. But nobody really stood out in this game. You got Brown with 10, Dave Collins with 16 as always, and then Caleb Murphy. But when you look at this team, they live and die by the 3-pointer. And that's what this team, we talked about this. As much as they want to get Yetna involved, as much as they want to get Durr inside involved, at the end of the day, we both know that and I'm sure Wichita State figured this out real quickly. All we have to do is foul these guys inside, put them to the free throw line, and guess what? The chances of them only making 1 of 2 is a lot better, than them making a shot. So what they do is they put them on the free throw line, they make 1 of 2, and then, it just doesn't work that way. That big men, if they're going to foul them if you can't hit free throws. You want to stop those fouls and stop your team going to the line. I would love it as a coach if my team's going to the line 30 times and I'm making 80% of my free throws. Well, your guys aren't scoring, which means 1 or 2 things. When they're getting fouled, they're not getting 3-pointers out of it because they're not putting the ball through the hoop. So whether it's a physicality issue or not, I do not know. But if they're going to win and they're going to be tough in this AAC conference and, be somewhere in the middle, they're going to have to. And I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse or whatever that saying is, but they have to make those free throws because you can't expect your team to go out every single game and make 40% of the threes. And you know what? If they're not making 40% of the threes, as a guard, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pushing the ball inside to my big man. My big men get fouled. They go to the free throw line, and now I'm getting 1-point possessions instead of 2-point possessions. And tonight, that really affected Coach Gregory and this men's basketball team.
Yeah, Larry, and again, the difference, guys, is if you do not know, Wichita State is part of the AAC. This was a conference game. This was not a non-conference game. Right. Wichita State is part of the conference. Now, you guys do not know they don't play football. Their program went down in the early 1990s. They don't play football, so you're not going to see the Shockers coming to Raymond James Stadium to play the Bulls. But yeah, guys, I mean, this is the stuff that hurts. Like Larry was just saying, that's the way the game of basketball is played today. You live and die by the tray. And when you're not making them and then you're not pushing the ball in, I mean, David Collins had a hell of a game against the Bearcats. So, it comes down to, again, he only had 50. He led the team today, again, like he always has. But they got to get the ball in, to Yetna. Durr's got to be better. They've got to get to the free throw line. They got to make the free throws when they matter if they're going to.
Let me interrupt you a minute. Do you have your TV on in front of you?
I do.
Game? I just got a report to my phone that they tied it up 70-70 at the end of.
Oh, hang on a second. I'm on ESPN, so hang on. It went final on me. Oh, I'm sorry. You are correct.
But either way, points are well taken. So they must have hit a shot, Bradley, and everything we said is, folks and fans that are listening, Bradley and I have ESPN Plus. It's on my other TV on the big screen. I don't have it in my room, but right now there is a 70-70 tie. So we do apologize, but either way, the points Bradley and I are making right now, and we apologize that ESPN did go and put that game final, but we are very pleased with their mistake, we must say. But like Bradley said, this is a AAC game, and, give them credit. They just tied it up. So, but at the same time, this is a game that shouldn't be in overtime because of the points that Bradley and I just make. And we both do apologize because we get the feed a lot slower than all of you because we're doing the show. But 70-70, we will keep you updated. This game is going into overtime. And Bradley, let me see if I can look real quick.
It looks like Larry, that David Collins must have made the tying shot.
He did make the tying shot. Dave Collins hit a 2-pointer as the buzzer expired. He now has 17 points in the game. All right, baby. Now we can get a little fired up. So what we thought was a loss is now a tie going into overtime, and we will keep you posted. Our apologies. That's my fault. Bradley and I we get to watch the same network. It said 70-68 final, but ESPN, you're allowed to make those mistakes if they're in our favor, and this one was. So thank you very much. And Bradley, thank you for making sure that I did see that correctly, and it did say.
Yeah, I'm watching Google, actually, Larry. So I was watching Google. So this is Google. So ESPN and Google both had it over, and now it's back to overtime. So they both made a mistake. So good on them, both of them, to make a mistake, and in a good way for us to go.
And I'm using Google as well. So we're both on the same thing. But, hey, thank you, David Collins. We're going to overtime, baby. And we are about 5 minutes away from having Sam Barrington on with us. And, Bradley, you get to talk to him again about some of the coaches that he played with, because I think Holtz was the coach for him for a couple of years back then. Who was it? Not Lou.
I researched it. I think his first year, Larry, was under Jim Levitt. I think it was Levitt's last year. I think was Sam's.
Either way, it wasn't different. He had 2 different coaches, so that'll be fun. They made the bowl twice with him there. And if you remember correctly, his first year, they made the bowl. I forget what they called them back then because the name changes, but that was the year we beat Clemson in a bowl game.
Oh, okay.
So pretty exciting. Clemson wasn't what they are today. Obviously, back then they were still a good school, but it'll be fun to get, when you ask them about some of the big schools they played back then. USF football was very, very good, had some good years back then. So we'll be talking to Sam. Then he played again for the Green Bay Packers.
Larry, does he do the broadcast with Jim Loud?
Yeah.
I think
I was just going to say that.
One of my questions, and I'll ask him again, is how is it to work with Jim? Because that's one of the questions I would like to ask Sam is
with Jim Loud?
Working with Jim. Yeah.
Yeah. And let me tell you this. He's doing a great job. I mean, he's been doing it, I think, since 2018, Bradley. So, former linebacker, and believe me, boy, he could stick, man, when he was with us. What a great linebacker he was. I think he's 10th overall. If you go back to the beginning of USF football, when it started, 10th on the all-time list in tackles for USF. So, I mean, definitely a good play. I'm going to look at my phone as I always do when these guys come on. I think I started telling them all now to just use a computer because it's a lot easier to get on. As I keep you updated on the USF men's basketball, they're down by 2 now with 3:45 left in overtime. So we'll try to keep you updated as much as possible on that game. So what we thought was a loss was an overtime, and let's hope that we can even be 100% correct, and the men can come on and prevail here. But boy, what that must have looked like. I'll have to rewatch that, Bradley, later on. On David Collins hitting that shot to tie it up as we are now down by 3. So a 3-pointer must have been a foul and a foul shot for Wichita State. So far on the year, we are 5-2. Wichita State is 3-2. So, like I said, we'll keep you updated. But before we get to that, we want to take a quick time out here. Let me see if I can move some stuff around again, as I always try. We're going to go ahead and move Bradley for 1 minute. Bradley, don't worry, we're not getting rid of you. We're going to give you a quick 30-second break here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, want to remind you all, for those of you still looking for Christmas gifts, want to thank someone for helping you out during this rough and tough year in 2020. Well, I'll tell you what, I found a place you can go, and there's no stress involved in trying to pick out what you want to get for someone. You go to apexgiftcard.com. That's right, apexgiftcard.com. What an easy website to use. They have all types of gift cards, from manufactured stores to department stores to restaurants to movie theater. You name a type of gift card, and they have that type of gift card. And the great thing about it is they have discounts and deals. Yeah, I just bought a $50 Outback gift card for $34. That means that I paid $34 and get $50 worth of food from Outback. What type of deal is that? Is that incredible or what? Well, let me tell you one more time. You go to apexgiftcard.com. That's right, apexgiftcard.com. It'll walk you right through it, and you can get your gift cards. That's where I go for my gift card needs. That's where you need to go for your gift cards needs. So go to apexgiftcard.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to have you back on Frankly Speaking Sports, as we took those couple of minutes off, and it's a great honor. Well, we had him, but it looks like we lost him there for a minute. So he'll be right back. We did have he must have fell off, Bradley, but he was on. So let me go ahead and make sure he's coming back on. He fell off. I'll just tell him, let him know he fell off. So we'll give him a couple of minutes. So we'll give him a couple of minutes, and hopefully he'll come right back on. There he goes. So I knew, like I said, I knew he'd be here. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor, thrill, and most of all, a pleasure to introduce to you on the Bullseye apexcard.com video chat. Let's go ahead and welcome in our good buddy, former linebacker of the USF Bulls. He does USF Bulls games and the former linebacker in the NFL. I know definitely for the Green Bay Packers. Let's welcome in Sam Barrington. There he is. Let me get Bradley Lewis Walker up here too. I don't know where he went now. You guys are flying up. Bradley Lewis fall off? All right, let me let Bradley know he fell off. So there he is. Let me get him on there. There we go. Now I got you both on. I want to make sure we got you both. Sam, first I want to take the time and opportunity to thank you so very, very much, taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on Bullseye, our USF show. We do appreciate you joining us.
You know what? No problem. It's an honor to even be involved. When you reached out to me, I didn't quite know who you were, but I said, hey, it's for USF Bulls, so why not?
Let me ask you this, Sam. When you came out of high school, I mean, we don't always hear about the opportunities you may have had, or if you had any. And obviously, you chose USF, whatever the reason was. So I want to go back in time and ask you, was USF your number one choice, or was it something that just fell into your lap there?
What do you mean by fell into my lap? And be a little more elaborative now.
I mean, did you have other schools that you had to choose from besides USF, or was USF one of those colleges that seemed to have the most interest in you?
Yeah, I had over 40 scholarship offers coming out. As a 3-star recruit in the state of Florida, I played both sides of the ball. I played running back and I played linebacker, and I even had some schools offer me to play running back. Some schools in the Big Ten and one school in the SEC, one school in Conference USA. But USF just really stood out to me for several reasons. Coach Jim Leavitt probably was the primary reason. I knew the university was going in a positive direction. They had played some really good football in years prior to my arrival. And then the recruiting class that I was coming in with. Jaquan Williams, Jason Pierre-Paul, Kayvon Webster, Ryan Giddens, Juju Forte, and the list goes on. Sterling Griffin, the Tampa great Lindsey Lamar. So we had a really deep class, and it just really made sense for me to come to the University of South Florida.
So, you come to the University of South Florida. I believe your first 2 years there, you make a bowl game, if I'm correct.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think the first game, I'm going back in time. I'm older than you, I think. So a little bit older than you. I know I am. But I want to say the first bowl game that you won when you played for USF was versus Clemson, if I'm right.
Well, the first bowl game was Northern Illinois, and that
was it Clemson,
and that was in Toronto. And the second game was the second bowl game, which was the Meineke Carkell Bowl. That was in the Carolinas against Clemson, and
okay.
Jeff Scott was with Clemson at the time. One of the things I didn't mention about my recruiting experience was Coach Jeff Scott. He actually recruited me while I was in high school, coming out of Jacksonville, Florida. So he and we go way back.
Yep. Now, was one of the main reasons you decided to go to USF was to stay close to home? Did it play a factor in you staying in the state?
I think so. Probably more than I'm willing to admit, or more than I was willing to admit at the time. But I think that definitely played a huge factor. But I had offers from everyone in Florida. None of the offers just seemed real and as synergetic. And sometimes, when I'm talking to young kids now, I tell them, hey, listen, make decisions that the person you'll be in 10 years from now will appreciate you for. And I can't thank myself enough for coming to the University of South Florida. It was just a proper decision, and the relationship is still growing in 2020. So I can't be disappointed.
Now, Sam, when you come to a school and you make a decision based on the coach who is currently running the team, and then you get there and a year or two later, that coach decides for maybe a better opportunity to leave. I mean, how disappointing, if at all, is that for a student athlete when that happens?
You know what? To be honest with you, I think my situation was different because Coach Leavitt was the only coach that the University of South Florida had ever had, and I think not speaking for anyone, it's just my own belief. I think if he could have had things different, he still would have been the coach, right? And I think it was just a very unfortunate situation that happened, and it led to his departure. So for me, I was definitely heartbroken when Coach Leavitt left, but I think I still felt like I still felt like Coach Leavitt was there. I don't know if that even makes sense. It just still felt like his program. He was just no longer there. So I was a Bull regardless, because I knew being a Bull meant committing to Coach Leavitt meant being a Bull for life, because he was a Bull for life. So,
yeah. And, I always ask athletes, especially one like yourself, that make it to the professional level, how important was it to you now that you look back? It's easier to look back now than when you were actually had to make these decisions. but how important was it for you to finish school, get your degree before going to the NFL?
Yeah, it was very important. It was very important, but it's like the question, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And I honestly believe that guys who have the wherewithal to finish school are guys who are going to do well after their playing career is over, regardless, because they already have that mindset. So finishing school before you get in the NFL, that's great. But if you don't have the mindset that you need to be successful, you can finish school and still be a failure. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so I think I'm definitely happy I went and got my bachelor's degree, and I'm actually a student at the University of South Florida right now, getting my master's in business at the Mooma College of Business. So I went to school, got my degree, and I graduated in 3.5 years, and I came back to get my second degree. So
Now, I know you were selected in 2012 to play in the East-West Shrine game. Did you participate in that game?
I did, but I pulled my hamstring on the second day, and I chose not to leave because the guys that I was playing with, I didn't want to leave them hanging. And I wound up being good friends with all of those guys well into our playing careers. So I played in the game, but I was hurt, so I really wasn't running that fast, and but I just wanted to show a presence. And who knows? It could have hurt my draft stock. It could have helped, but I just decided to go ahead and stay out on the field and play.
Yeah, and let me ask you this: you get drafted, you're in the third. I believe it was by the Green Bay Packers in the 7th round.
Mhm.
What was the feeling like when you got drafted?
You know what? Being from Jacksonville, Florida, you pretty much get kind of ready for anything, right? And that was my mentality. I was just ready to go in there and put my best product on the field, and my mentality was give them no choice, right? And basically do so well that they don't have a choice but to keep you and eventually start you, and that's pretty much what happened with my career. But I was really excited. I think I was really excited for my family that they could, my mom could, be at the grocery store and say, hey, yeah, my son plays in the NFL. So that was also cool. But yeah, I achieved a lifelong dream, and it was pretty special.
It's one thing to be a great athlete, Sam, as you know, and you've seen so many of them, I'm sure, in your college career and your professional career. But it's another thing to be recognized by your team members or nominated for something like the Walter Payton Award. That tells you the type of person you are. What did it mean to you being nominated? And then I know you also won an award from the Chamber of Commerce in Green Bay for something very similar. What's it like to be recognized by the people of Green Bay and by your fellow teammates to be nominated for that type of award?
Well, Green Bay is one of those places where I could literally go to Green Bay right now, and I walk in a restaurant and I won't have to pay, right? It was a really special place, and a lot of people talk to me and it was like, man, you're from Florida, how are you going to adjust? And for me, I never had that mindset, and there was a history of guys coming from the same city as me and who went on to have success. Edgar Bennett played running back. He wound up coming back and being a running backs coach, and then Leroy Butler, we all know who he is. So it wasn't as much about it being a shock or a culture shock. It was just going and making friends and just building relationships, and that's all I did. And so fortunately, the community took a liking to me. My teammates were very trusting of me, and they looked to me for leadership at times. And when they did, I provided it. And even though I was a young guy, I was in my third year when I won that award. I still have relationships with those guys, and yeah, it was a pretty special time in my life.
So, Sam, what was it like? Because I've always had this dream. It's like a dream when I'm a big sports fan. So I always
Yeah.
wanted to see Wrigley Field in baseball or Madison Square Garden, in basketball. And
Yeah.
one of the two stadiums besides Soldier Field that that I always wanted to see was Lambeau Field. What was it like having the opportunity when you walk out there? I mean, just the historic place and all the memorabilia of a Lambeau Field.
Believe it or not, man, prior to me getting in college, again, I'm from the South, so I grew up around the Alltel Stadium. You get what I'm saying, in Jacksonville, Florida,
Right.
and now the name has changed. Um, so for me, I didn't really even understand how special it was until time started to go by, and I started to learn the history of the stadium. But I think probably, man, it was one year where every before every game I shed tears. You get what I'm saying? Because it was just a special feeling. And I'm thinking like, wow, I'm really starting middle linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. It was special, and we played some really good football that year.
And then after your career, you get the opportunity to come back and actually work with the USF Bulls on the radio network. I wanted to always ask, when you go ahead and you become an analyst, you used to watch films, I'm sure, enough to drive you crazy when you were in the pros and when you were in college. Now you're still watching film and analyzing things. Do you find it similar from the analyzing the plays to explaining it to the audience now, or is it a completely different analysis?
Well, it's much easier. I'm just basically watching the game and helping the audience understand, hey, not only this is what happened, or the receiver caught a slant, but he caught a slant because the play before the defense was playing off soft, and that gave the quarterback the confidence to throw a slant, even though it's cover two coverage. You get what I'm saying? So I'm using my expertise and my knowledge of the game to paint a very vivid picture to give the audience just a really nice experience and a really wholesome listening experience. And I realize that it's my responsibility as an analyst to get that done. And sometimes, you can be very highly critical of yourself. I mean, probably the first 5 games I didn't even want to listen to myself because it was horrible, and it was so far away from where I wanted to be. But I think through time, with the help of other individuals at the University of South Florida, especially Jim Lauk, Jim Lighthall, Jay Rescher, Mark, and the entire team, and Joey. Can't forget Joey. Just so many guys that just helped me grow, and I really enjoy it now. And I think more than anything, it's cool seeing a guy come in as a freshman, and now here I am going into year 4 on the radio, and now I'm seeing that same guy get into his redshirt year, or I'm sorry, his redshirt junior year, or whatever the case may be. And that's a really special thing to see.
I'm going to let Bradley Lewis jump in here. I know you got a couple questions, Bradley, you want to ask Sam.
Yeah, Sam, I have to ask because I love listening to you and Jim on the radio.
Thank you.
I've got an opportunity to cover USF the last 3 years. I'm actually in the press box for most of the home games. But I have to ask, what is it like working with Jim Lauk, for games? What is that? What does that mean to you, and how cool is that to work with him?
Let's just put it like this. Jim and I are so synergetic. I think he just has so much knowledge for the game, and I think one of the more special things is you walk into the studio, and I could literally close my eyes and tell you where everything is. Right? He has so much sweat equity in this industry, and he's a guy that he lives and he breathes, USF football. But he's just such a great craftsman. I mean, if he comes in and a pen is out of order, you get what I'm saying? It kind of throws him off. But he's just so good at what he does, and I think people have been listening to him so long, they don't even realize what a gem we have at the University of South Florida. He's just a special man and a true mentor, and somebody that I appreciate and who's grown to be a friend over the past 3 years. So.
And my other question is, what was it like playing under Jim Leavitt? I have to ask every player that gets a chance to play under him. How was it like playing under Coach Leavitt?
Yeah, so you know what? I was thinking about this today. I was talking to my brother, and I said, we had one high school coach in my freshman through junior year. I think the most games we probably won is 5 games, and then we had a coach my senior year, and we went on to win 9 games and #1 offense in the city, #4 defense, and had a lot of fun. But I told my brother, I said, listen, it was the guy who was there for my freshman and junior year who taught us how to play football. The other guy just came in and it was fun, and he took advantage of some foundation that was already built. And I think that's one of the things that I can honestly say about Jim Levitt. He helped me. He gave me the start to my college football career, and so from then on, it just set my expectations right. How a coach should coach his players, how to get your team routed up. You know what I'm saying? How to hold leaders accountable, and he was a fun coach to play for. You never knew what to expect. He kept you on the edge, and I know from a personal experience, after his departure, I maintained a relationship with him, and I know from a personal experience, he's just a very passionate man, a good man, and a family-oriented man as well.
Before we let you run it, was that it, Bradley? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yep.
Okay. Before we let you run, I want to ask you. You said you're going back to school at USF. You're obviously involved with USF a lot. How special is it, to know you graduated from USF, you played there at a high level, very successful, went to the NFL, now you're back there, and now you have the idea to continue to watch that school grow?
Yeah. So, I tell people all the time, I probably have one of the more special relationships at USF. You're right. I mean, having the opportunity to play football there, get an undergraduate degree, come back and serve as a radio analyst, and now I'm back in school. And then here recently, my company, we actually specialize in crane rental and heavy equipment rental. We're actually helping a steel contractor build a building on USF's campus. And so, you begin to do all of these things, and then you just realize that this heartbeat for the program is continuing to grow. And here it is, 11 years after the time I committed to play football. I'm at USF probably at least once or twice a week every year. So, I'm sorry, once or twice every week. And then you start to build relationships with people around the program, people who were around the program when I was a player, who've been working so hard, and you don't necessarily understand their role. You just see them around the building. And now these same people have helped USF get to where it is. So it's beautiful. I think when you talk about an opportunity to attend USF to get a degree, it's one of the more special places in the country because of the city that it's located in. You look at what Dr. Corral is doing from an infrastructure improvement standpoint. You look at what Mike Kelly has been able to accomplish in his short time there. I think the university is on a great trajectory, and I encourage outside supporters and fans and alumni to just stand in unison and continue to support. It's easy to put the football team down when they're down, but I think here in the very near future, they're going to be a real competitor across the NCAA landscape, and I think it's going to be a fun thing to see.
Yeah, now let me ask you, I know I said that was the last question, but I know you're not too far away from where your good buddy Pierre Paul's playing here in Tampa. I mean, the guy still got it, don't he?
Yeah, you know what? And I was talking to Lindsay Lamar about this 2-3 days ago. I'll never forget the day he came in. It was my freshman year, and we were probably 2 weeks before the first game. And here's this big, tall, lanky guy, lean as ever, running his gassers, and he's running them in the same time as a defensive back would run their gassers doing their conditioning. And then within a week later, we saw him on a practice field, and he was really dominant. But the thing is, at the time, we had George Selvey, we had Ryan Giddens that the coaches were trying to work in, and then we had 2 other players on the outside that had pretty good careers at USF. And so, you try to squeeze a guy like Jason Pierre-Paul in pretty early, and he can get lost, right? But I think it was maybe Syracuse. He caught an interception and took it back to the house. And then maybe the next game, I think it was Florida State, and the rest is history. And I remember going to him at the end of the year because I know that I'm going to be starting linebacker next year. So I go up to JPP. I say, "Hey, man, you coming back next year, right?" He was like, "Nope." and so, but I'm not surprised. Some guys just have that freakish talent, that durability, and some guys are just special, and he's one of them.
Yeah, definitely is. Well, listen, I know on behalf of myself and Bradley, want to thank you so very, very much taking time out of this holiday week to spend some time on Bullseye with us.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you having me on, Larry. And Bradley, it's nice to meet you. Go Bulls.
Yeah, and have a great holiday, my friend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sam Barrington, and you got your question answered, Bradley, on Jim Leverett that you have to ask. But we now have to bring the unfortunate news about the men's basketball team. Unfortunately, it did go. Fortunately, it went to overtime. Unfortunately, they lost by 5 in overtime to Wichita State. And again, they were 27-41 at the free throw line. I mean, all the points we hit on earlier, Bradley, did not change the result of this game and stayed the same. You got to shoot better. You have to be able to hit free throws, and otherwise they're going to continue. They were outscored 12-7 in the overtime, and once again missed a couple of free throws. I think they missed 2 free throws in the overtime. Don't quote me on that, but again, 27 out of 41 from the free throw line. You miss 14 free throws, you lose the game by 5 points. And most of those free throws were missed in regulation time, which means the game doesn't even go to overtime if you just nail half the ones you miss. And I know this ain't a game of ifs, but we're talking, it's part of basketball. And, it's one of those things that shouldn't be as difficult as it's becoming for both the men and the women. And I know I'm not they can go, well, why don't you go to the free throw line? Okay. I'm not playing the game, okay? And believe me, I knew the importance of free throws. Believe me, I grew up where it was synced in my head that, free throws are a gimme, and they got to be treated like a gimme. Not everybody's going to shoot 90% free throws, but if you can make 8 out of 10 free throws, well, we would have made 8 out of 10 free throws. 80% would have been what? 8 times 4 is 32 of 41. That's 5 points. That's a difference. 80% to 60% is 5 free throws, which we lost the game by. And in regulation, we would have prevailed if we made our free throws. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I was just looking, Larry, right before we had Sam come on, and they didn't score any points until Wichita State had already scored 5. So you were already behind the 8 ball by what you lost by before you got your first points. I don't know if they missed shots or missed free throws, but being down 5-0 in overtime before you get your first points, and that's what ultimately was what you lost by. So there you go.
Yeah, and disappointing that 1-1 in conference. It's early in the season, but and I know I drill on this. It's kind of like you and I. We were drilling all the time on the football team. Who's the quarterback going to be? Who's the quarterback? Even though we were right, who the hell is the quarterback going to be? At the end of the day, it sounds like the first what are we 5-3, I believe, on the season now. So through the first 8 games, and I'll blame some of this on a couple of other things. We're not playing games consistently right now because of COVID. I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about the consistency of us playing. Just like tonight, I think our next game for the men's is next Tuesday. Hold on. I've got it right here. For the woman is next Wednesday night. So the women play tonight, which is what? We're on Tuesday. They don't play. What's that?
Over a week before they
over a week. And the men's team plays Tuesday night, I believe. So you're talking about at least 7 games. And, when you talk about, a lot about playing and a lot about consistency, whether it's football or baseball or basketball or soccer, I mean, it's getting that rhythm, getting that consistency, getting the comfortability of playing together. But when you're taking 7, 8 days off in a row, which is no purpose of Coach Gregory or athletic director Mike Kelly, it's hard to get in a rhythm where it just keeps flowing. And I think that's what's hurting them. And now I think you'll see after the break here, because both teams have a break until, right before the new year, we start playing more games, more like every 3 days instead of every 7 or 8 days. I'd like to see if the shooting and the free throws get better, because you can practice all day long. Free throw and shooting are 2 different things. Okay, free throw, it doesn't matter. People say, well, Larry, you can go into a gym and practice free throws all day, because at the end of the day, when you go to the free throw line in a game, there's nobody guarding you either. But there's difference. There's different pressure, different mindsets involved in it. So it's not as easy as it's done. Number 2 is shooting. You can shoot all day in practice, but when you have a woman or a man in your face and putting their hands up and all around you trying to steal the ball from you, it's a completely different game, looking for the open person. So the only way to do that, because practice isn't going to do it, even if you scrimmage, because you can stop the flow of the game. You can't stop the flow of the game in a regular NCAA basketball game unless you call a timeout, and you only get so many of those. So the only way to do that is you have to play more consistently at a consistent pace, and that's the amount of the game. So I'm interested in seeing, when we're talking about mid-January, maybe towards the end of January, if we see, we've seen the women have these little spikes. We've seen them with the shooting, and they're shooting a lot better now. But I want to see what happens with the men's. But at the end of the day, we have to go ahead and figure out this free throw nemesis that is killing both teams.
Yeah, Larry. I mean, again, it's, what is it they say? Don't spin the broken record, or don't sound like a broken record. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. They, both men's and women's both have to get better from the free throw line if they're going to make it in the tournament, or if they're going to, moving forward in conference play and stuff like that.
Yeah. And, well, my friend, I don't know if you have any more shows before the new, besides, of course, Bullseye. Now, for those of you folks listening, Bradley and I are going to make a decision probably over the weekend if we're going to do a show Tuesday. And the only reason I say that is getting a guest is not an issue. But you're going to have to understand there's no games going on. So, which means there's no basketball, because, like Bradley just said, the men's don't play until Tuesday night at 9:00, I believe it is, too. So we'd be on the air when that game starts, and the women don't play till Wednesday. So if we do a show, basically we'll be just previewing those 2 games, because we don't have anything going on this week. But we'll decide, because I know a lot of people are going to be on vacation. That'll be up, to Bradley and I. But, Bradley, are you doing any of your other shows?
No, Larry. The last Thursday show was last week, and yesterday was my last show for the year. I'm taking the last week. I'm still going to write. I did write an article today about this is my 3rd year covering USF. And guys, I don't mean to be biased, but if you ever want to listen to Jim Laug and Sam Barrington on a Saturday afternoon, you can't watch the game live. They're one of the 2 best in the business when it comes to analyzing football games and stuff. So that was pretty awesome. I was kind of fanboying there a little bit when he was talking about, working with Jim. And he's got one of the sweetest voices I think I've ever heard coming from a guy. So you ever have a Saturday afternoon where you can't watch USF Bulls football on TV, hit Bulls Unlimited and listen to them, because they're 2 of the best in the business. That was pretty cool to interview Sam.
Yeah, I loved having him on. And, obviously we want to thank him for taking time out of his busy schedule during the holidays, especially for coming on. As far as I go, as of now, we are doing a show tomorrow night. We will not be doing on Thursday on Christmas Eve tomorrow. And I just want to make sure that I have the right Wednesday before I tell you something and we don't. Okay. Yeah. Former Pittsburgh Steeler, wide receiver, kick returner, running back. Dwight Stone will be joining us live tomorrow on Frankly Speaking Sports. Kind of ironic, the timing of Dwight coming on, because if you hadn't heard yesterday, great Hall of Fame linebacker who played for the Steelers, Kevin Green, passed away. And I know Dwight, played on the same team as Kevin. Obviously nobody knew this was going to happen. We had him booked, way before, the passing of Kevin Green, but we'll have him on tomorrow night, and then we'll decide what days next week we'll go on. But on behalf of myself, Bradley Lewis Walker, we want to thank you all for joining us tonight on Bullseye. And if we're not back next week, we'll be back the following week for the new year, right on the same station. Everyone, good night. And I did it right.